tight and get your hair cut way up high. Get yourself a lawyer, son. You're gonna need a real good one.
And David Whiting here. David Whiting is here. He is a Melbourne solicitor. He can provide you with some free legal advice. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Raph.
Did you have homework?
I did. I had Peter from Bass Coast. Peter had gone and acquired some vouchers, gift vouchers, prior to COVID, and the question was, how long do they last? And I've listened to the conversation we had last week. The short answer is that the rules were changed on the 1st of November 2019 and COVID was March 2020. And at that stage, they were required to be issued for a minimum period of 3 years. Now, there are a million exceptions. So you might go to a big box store and buy a television and you get a gift voucher that you've got to use within 90 days. So they're different. But if you go in and buy a gift card at 7-Eleven or whoever it is, there's an expectation they're valid for 3 years from the time of purchase, minimum. Peter was a little more complex because they came along and said to him that they would be extended by the period of COVID. Well, on my view of the world, COVID's not finished yet. Now, what
Yes.
that means for the gift provider, I don't know, but he bought them prior to COVID, and I don't know how far prior to COVID, and but they're valid for a period of 3 years as the general principle.
Okay, general principle, 3 years. I'll remind you too of the details for our big forum, like rents. Well, firstly, it's crisis renting. But if you've got an issue with your landlord, you've got an issue with your renter, David will be part of our big forum. Later on in the month, we're going to have the head of VCAT, the people at VCAT who head up the Residential Tenancies Tribunal. They will be answering your questions at a forum here in the building. I'll give you more details on that as we are chatting away. But Denny is in Mount Eliza with a question for David Whiting. What is it, Denny? Denny, you there?
Hello?
Yeah, go for it, Denny. Everyone's listening. Go for it with your question.
Oh, hi, good morning.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm just phoning because I was a victim of a scam yesterday, and I just want to know where I stand because as far as I'm concerned, the failure to implement a duty of care from the bank is just zilch. And being a pensioner, it's
Sorry, what was the duty of care that the bank had to you that they didn't deliver on?
Beg your pardon?
What was the duty of care the bank had to you that you say they didn't deliver on?
Well, I mean, get my money back.
Sure. So why don't you explain to us the problem, Denny? What happened?
Okay, I got scammed. I was on my computer and I got scammed.
But you weren't scammed by the bank.
No, scammers.
Just give us an idea, Denny. I really want to get to the guts of the question. Did you maybe transfer money to a bank account and you're upset with the bank for allowing that to happen? Just tell us why you think the bank did something wrong.
The money was taken out of the bank illegally by hackers, by scammers.
Who got your details from something that you did in some way?
They got all my details, on my computer.
Okay, and I don't know, but the bank doesn't manage your computer. You do.
That's exactly right, yes.
But how does the bank know? The bank assumes that what comes from you is you.
Yeah.
I have some sympathy for the bank, but I'll give you a different story, Denny. I wanted to send some money over to somebody overseas, not a large amount of money, and it was money going to the Philippines, and I was using a transfer service. The transfer service rang me after I had opened account for the sole purpose of sending $500 and say, are you absolutely certain this is what you want to do? Is this who you want to send it to? Are you sure there aren't going to be more coming? So I would have come along and said, for that money transfer service, I thought, I'm a big boy, I know what I'm doing. But on the other hand, I'm very grateful for the fact that they did that.
Who can Denny go to? Because we actually had ASIC here yesterday saying AFCA is one. So
AFCA is the one. Australian Financial Complaints Authority.org.au.
If you think that the bank's done something wrong, AFCA.
That's who you talk to. Yep.
Okay. Good luck, Denny. I know it's happening to everyone. Not everyone. Happened to a lot of people every day. Helen is in Warragul. Helen, what's your query?
Oh, this is in regard to unpresented cheques. The situation is that an elderly couple both died last year, and a son has returned from overseas and the daughter's here, and my husband and I are helping them to clear the house, preparing for sale. Yesterday I found a number of unpresented cheques amounting to $3,500.
How old were the cheques, Helen?
Payers. Sorry?
How old were the cheques?
How old? And that's
Yep.
the crucial question. They date back to 2002 to 2004 when we know that the family, the elderly couple, had real health crises.
No, Helen, I'm not sure that the general principle is that a cheque is good for 18 months. Okay,
Right. So there's no...
No. You go back to the people you got the cheques from. See, what I would then be doing would be looking at the unclaimed monies register. So if I was to write a cheque to RAF, for example, for $1,000 and he doesn't present the cheque, I'm required to give that money to the State Revenue Office as unclaimed monies. So check the State Revenue Office website, sro.vic.gov.au. Follow the links for unclaimed monies. If the money came from a large company, you might also try the ASIC website, which is asic.gov.au, and look for unclaimed monies there. And if that doesn't work, go back to the people that the cheques were issued by and ask them.
Yeah. Okay.
All right? Because they'll tell you whether they've replaced the cheque or not.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your
Thanks,
help.
Helen.
Okay.
Actually, traveller's checks. I found a whole lot of old traveller's checks in my dad's drawers.
Okay, well,
Same?
you have come to the right guy.
Oh, have I?
right?
Right.
We were administering an estate and we had pounds and Swiss francs.
Yes.
American Express traveller's checks. American Express have put the money in my trust account today.
Really?
You contact them, you give them copies of the cheques, you prove that they've been destroyed.
There you go.
I cut through the middle, and the answer would be, here's the money at today's exchange rates.
There you go.
So there you go.
We are learning things all of the time. Helen, good luck with your query. Tony is in Pheasant Creek. What's the question, Tony?
G'day, Raph and David. Thank you. David, we had the unfortunate thing on the weekend where on the King Lake Road, a guy's done the crossing double lines passing a push bike, multiple push bikes, not blaming the push bikes, and a motorcyclist has gone over the edge because he felt the car was coming straight at him.
Yep.
And we're just trying to get ourselves clear because we live around this area.
There's no ration. There's no. The answer is that the person crossed the double lines because the person wasn't patient enough.
Yes.
Okay.
And
that's not a reason for crossing the double lines.
no. So in our road, it would be like you'd have to sit there for half an hour because it's blind corners for 7 kilometres.
Yes.
You cannot see enough to get past with a horse float or anything.
Yep.
You sit there for half an hour behind the push bikes. Is that the law?
Yes. What do you want to do? Ban cyclists? I mean,
no. I'm just saying.
the double lines are there
Yep.
for because it's
Yep,
considered
got it.
unsafe to pass.
Yep.
You're
Okay.
passed.
No.
And
Yep.
particularly if you've got a horse float on the back, that just makes
Yes.
it.
And your question, Tony, is whether or not there's an exception for the double lines because you waited.
There is
No.
exception.
I just want to know. Yeah, no. I just want to know where it sits because people are saying just run into the cyclist, and we're going. This is crazy. It's all going mental in our
It
area.
just seems to me to create a slightly larger problem.
Yes, it's horrible.
Okay.
It's horrible.
So, Tony, no, the cyclists, we share roads with cyclists, or cyclists share roads with us, whatever you like.
Yeah, and the road has no provision for the cyclist, and that's just bad luck because there's no shoulder, there's no.
It's a tiny winding road, Tony. I know it well.
Tiny.
Yep.
Yep. Thank you.
Good luck, Tony. Not a simple one. Brenda's in Bundoora. What do you want to ask Brenda?
Oh, Brenda, it's Brenda. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you can
for
be
taking
Brenda
my call.
today. How's that? Yeah.
I am Brenda.
Yep.
I've got a VCAT hearing on Monday, and I've got a very strong letter from a lawyer. It's about a residential tenancy claim. I've got a TAPS worker, but they've come back and said that they want to apply the Latches doctrine as the defence because of the time period we've taken to ask for compensation.
Yes.
So my first question is, what is the time limit to apply for compensation for VCAT?
The statute of limitations or the Limitation of Actions Act is 6 years for breach of a contract. So you've got 6 years. Right?
So we've met that. So the
Okay.
Latches
Did you
doctrine
meet it by
doesn't
much, did you,
apply.
Brenda? You at 5.5 or something? But 6 years is the limitation period.
Yeah, it finished in 2018 and we submitted in February 2023
Yep.
because of the delay of COVID. So
Yes.
our TAPS worker couldn't process stuff during COVID.
Brenda, you're just fine, right?
Right.
Latches is the concept of where you allow something improper to continue, and you don't see it very much in Australia. Americans use it a fair bit. The answer will be you put it with an inconvenience from a neighbour for 20 years, stop complaining about it.
Right.
It's
okay.
really where it sits.
And then the second question is that my TAPS worker said I can't make a counterclaim without prejudice, and I'm not sure why not.
Sorry, so what a TAP claim? What's the nature of your claim?
So it's compensation for illegally ending a lease due to major repairs, even though they said we could have stayed in there.
Yes.
So there was a major flood. There'd been water ingress before the major flood, and they asked us to leave with no proper notice.
Yeah, you've got a claim for compensation. What's the counterclaim?
Their claim is that they're going to settle out of court for less than half the amount we're asking for.
Well, no, they're not going to settle unless you agree, Brenda. The nature of a settlement is a consensus arrangement. Or they're offering you some money, are they? Oh, yeah, they're going to make a counterclaim against you, are they?
No, they're not making a counterclaim. They just said they'll defend themselves vigorously in VCAT.
Yep, would expect them to.
Yeah, which is fine. What I'm asking is, my TAPS worker from Uniting has said, I don't think we can go back with a counterclaim out of VCAT hearing without prejudice. And I thought that you could. Like, I thought you could say, no, thank you for your offer, but it's not acceptable.
Yeah, that's
fine. Back with a more reasonable offer.
No, in terms of negotiation, so you've got a VCAT proceeding on one side, and outside the VCAT proceeding, you're having a dialogue with the other people. And the dialogue might come along and say, well, look, I won't take $1,000, but I'll take $1,500. You can continue that negotiation until such time as the member at VCAT hands down a decision.
Okay.
So can I say, I have to say though, without prejudice,
yeah,
and
do
I have to,
you do.
And I have to cite Calder Bank versus Calder Bank, because that's what they've
No,
said.
you don't. It's called a Calder Bank offer or Hazeldean Poultry or one of those, but the answer is no, you don't need to.
But you can have a separate negotiation.
You can have a separate negotiation on a without prejudice basis. I'm happy to settle my claim for X. Remember, you can only go down.
Brenda, thank you. Just a reminder, so it's 2 weeks today. We're going to have a chat in the building from 9:30. David Whiting will be here. Lindsay Warren will be here from VCAT. And just trying to sort out precisely those sorts of issues. Tenants, landlords, where do you go? What might be the resolution? What's the best way to resolve some of your rental crisis questions, be you a landlord or a tenant?
I must say on that, Raph, I've had any number of calls in the last couple of weeks about invalid termination notices.
Oh, there you go. Is that increasing?
Well, because there are really tight rules about a termination notice. And so if I'm terminating a tenancy because I want to do a renovation, then I need to produce a whole lot of paperwork about the renovation. So,
interesting.
Just fascinating.
So, and they're heading off to VCAT, those ones?
Well, from the landlord's point of view, I'm going to renovate, I'm doing this, and this, but they send no attachments with the notice to vacate. It's a 60-day notice. On day 59, you write back to the landlord and said, gee whiz, it's not a valid notice to terminate. Would you like to start again?
Right.
So, you know, it doesn't engender good relationships, but there's a whole lot of people who can't find somewhere to rent.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's the issue, isn't it? It's 100% the issue. Just go to the ABC Radio Melbourne website if you want to come along and be a part of that conversation. We'll get to more of your calls in a moment. David Whiting is here to answer your questions. Ben is in Point Cook. What did you want to ask, Ben?
G'day, I'm David and Rap. Just a question. We parked our car in a secure car park on Saturday night for overnight parking, and our car got broken into. There's a lot of damage to the car and personal items got stolen out of the car. I was just wondering, do we have a claim against the owner of the car park?
Very unlikely. There will be some terms and conditions when you entered the car park, and one of them will inevitably say, we don't have no claim, you've got no claim. So what you might look to do is see whether there are any particular representations made. There is an operator who operates car parks called Secure Parking. That's their name. That's not a guarantee of anything. So if it's them, doesn't count. Could be anyone. Could be any of the other majors. So you park in a car park, even if you paid for entry, the answer will be no. There's very unlikely to be any comeback against the operator.
All right. Thanks,
okay,
David.
Ben.
Thanks.
Now, David, someone's just sent me this just on the double crossing.
Yep.
Apparently, Vic Road's website, drivers can cross double lines when there is a clear view ahead and it is safe to do so.
Okay.
Can we make that homework?
We can
establish the legal position on
we can do
the double lines.
Yep.
And I know that road's a delightful road heading up into King Lake. So we'll double check that and make that David's homework. Peter is in Preston. Peter, what's your query?
Good morning, David and Raph.
Go for it.
I had very minor bingle in the supermarket car park, left-hand down, reversing out. I've wiped my bumper bar down the front left-hand door of the car beside me.
Yep.
Changed names, addresses, did all the correspondence. Basically, they have repaired both doors at a cost of over $2,000.
Yep.
And I considered it to be like a $250 cut and polish job.
Okay.
Yes,
You've been repairing
yesterday
cars for long, Peter?
No, but like Mr. Fain, he used to be on this program. I've done enough over my time to know what's going on.
What kind of memory have you got, Raph? Peter, I understand the point. To me, it may well be that I can see that maybe the panel was changed, and it may also be that the particular paint job on the car. Why don't you ring some motor vehicle assessors and see if you can get some indication, if you know what the car is, what the paint was. You need to come along and say it's unreasonable.
Yes, I have spoken with them. Funnily enough, they offered me a 30% discount straight up.
Oh wow! Okay, well that's a helpful message to everyone else who's listening, Peter.
Yeah.
That
and
you can haggle.
We initiated a dispute resolution process. They rejected my pleas, and yesterday I got a final demand with the original price of just over $2,000.
Okay. Oh well, go back and see if you get the 30%, Pete.
Right.
Okay.
But yeah, that was an option, the independent assessment, and present that information. Now, the possible outcomes, if I dig in my heels and do a Daryl Kerrigan, they're talking about extra costs being incurred and interest accruing.
If you are sued, there will be proceedings. If they'll sue you in the magistrates' court, VCAT has no jurisdiction. They will, and my view would be if the matter then went to court, you're at 2, you're probably at 5 or 6 if it went all the way.
So risky.
There's a risk, right?
Good luck.
You, in a sense, Peter, have to prove. If let's say we get to court and we prove it's $1,500 rather than $2,000, you're still liable for costs on the $1,500.
And just briefly, David, if you, we'll get to more calls after the news headlines. But if you say the insurance companies are looking after it all,
yes,
who do you? And you say, oh, that's outrageous. It shouldn't be that much. Is there any other place you can go to say, I don't think that your repairer or your insurance
Most insurance companies are either have their own dispute resolution process or have an industry-wide one. Insurance Council of Australia used to have one. I'm not sure if they do. So you can go there. But I would start with, can I have a copy of the photographs of the damage? And then I'm going to try and prove that it's a lesser sum.
Yeah, okay. Yep. Good luck, Peter. Mark is saying there is no such thing as a $250 cut and polish anymore. I don't know how long Mark's been polishing cars for. But questions for David Whiting. Julie is in Preston. What's your question, Julie?
Oh, hi there, David and Raph. Basically, next door to me, there's been a new development built by owner builders, and they're going to be selling it or putting it on the market this month. We both went halves in a new fence. If you stood on the footpath looking at both our properties, my driveway is pretty flat, and their block is ascending. My concern is they've put a garden bed running right along, parallel on top of, if not on top of, right next to the new paling fence, and that garden bed runs to the depth of 0.6 of a metre, and it's about 0.5 of a metre wide. And if you stood on,
Julie, I can see a problem. The question is, the problem's not going to be a problem for 10 years. That's the catch.
Yep, I figured that.
So make yourself a nuisance at the
auction.
At the auction. I mean, really, what you want them to do is put in some. Is you want something to separate your garden bed or their garden bed from the fence that you both contributed to.
Yes, absolutely. Can I ask you something? So my next question is, I figured that, and everyone's saying to me, look, that's wrong. It's supposed to have sleepers, to take
It's
it off
not supposed to have anything, but the difficulty will be the moisture in their garden bed will rot the barge board on the fence.
Yep. Okay. So the other thing is, as people turn up to view open house, et cetera, if I was standing in my driveway and just commenting to people coming in and out, or at auction day, commenting loudly about the depth of the soil and how anyone who buys a property is probably going to have to, shelve out for half a new fence fairly soon.
Well, it's not fairly soon. You're going to get a few good years out of it, Julie, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But is that, I'm not doing anything illegal by...
there are rules about disrupting auctions, but you're certainly able to ask questions of the auctioneer.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye.
Good luck, Julie. And Frank is in Kilmore. Frank, what's your query?
Would he recommend going to see solicitors about a legal matter, no win, no fee side of it? Cause
can I say, Frank, I have no difficulty at all with no win, no pay lawyers, right? Okay. Except there's two ifs to that. As a general practice, they tend to only take ones that they think they're going to win.
Of course.
So there's little speculation in it, and generally speaking, the only bit that you're not paying is their fee. So if there are barristers' fees and doctors' fees and other bits and pieces that are required as a part of it, you're normally paying them. And most of them now operate on a basis where you open a line of credit with a credit provider for the purpose of funding these expenses. Yes. So it's not entirely risk-free.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
But I have no difficulty with no win, no fee lawyers.
All right. Sounds all right.
Good luck, Frank.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And just before I let you go, David, briefly, the story in the paper, the engagement ring, the dispute over who owns an engagement ring.
Yes.
Is there a general principle? Who owns it?
There was when the Family Law Act came in, they got rid of this concept. There used to be an action at common law about a breach of promise to marry. Now, that disappeared from the 1st of January 1976 when the Family Law Act came in. I would have, if you come along and say, well, here's an engagement ring, will you marry me? You say yes. If the marriage doesn't proceed, I would have thought it makes logical sense for it to come back. And to simply call it a gift standing alone, but whatever the deal is, you can't unilaterally rewrite it. So, every case turns on its facts.
Every case turns on its facts. See you in 2 weeks. At
I'm
our
not
forum,
coming next week.
And see you next week for your regular and your homework. Thank you very much. David Whiting here every Tuesday answering your legal questions.